Are you sick and tired of the frustration of constantly facing defeat on the battlefield?
Damn, that's like 3 in a row that we just got shit on.
Team is shit.
Questioning why victory slips away like elusive smoke. It's a struggle we've all encountered, leaving us wondering if our team's tickets vanish quicker than anyone could miss Helen Keller's presence. Well, you're not alone in this battle. Join me as we embark on a journey into the common pitfalls that lead to defeat, unraveling the mysteries behind our struggles. The best part? You don't need to be a squad leader to turn things around. This journey is for everyone, as we explore the crucial insights that can transform your gameplay. It's more than just avoiding mistakes, it's about understanding the dynamics that can turn the tide from disaster to triumph. But before we start, make sure to hit that subscribe button for a treasure trove of exclusive squad guides, gameplay and updates. Astonishingly, more than 85% of you aren't subscribed, and the information I'm about to drop is nowhere else to be found. Don't miss out on the gaming secrets that will elevate your experience. Subscribe now and be in the know like never before. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to start with is a super easy one. We all know that a good 90% of day-to-day games are advanced and secure or random advanced and secure. For those of you who don't know, this is when you capture objectives in a specific order until both teams essentially meet in the middle and then fight over each other team's defensive objective. And here lies one of the biggest issues and the biggest contributor to losing games: a lack of defense. See, most people seem to think that defending in squad is boring, lame, and even pointless. But in squad, it's possibly the most vital role and arguably gets you the most action, especially if you do take up defense and you are the only squad doing so, because you will usually find yourself up against 2 or 3 enemy squads pushing you, which certainly gives you plenty to shoot at and plenty of action. But here's where defense really falters, and even I've made this mistake in the past. After 20 or 30 minutes of being on defense and you haven't seen a single enemy soul, do not be tempted to wander far from the objective, because it will be at that moment you look at the map, your hab's already going down, your rally gets burnt, and then you see the objective flashing red. By the time you scramble back to point, it's already too late. They've neutralized your defensive objective, which immediately halts your offensive. And boy, do people get annoyed when this happens. You are left with a trusted role and you essentially abandoned it. If you do find yourself on defense and boredom kicks in, start building emplacements. Get a tow down to SWAT enemy armor and helicopters. Get down defenses and fortifications to make the enemy's life hell. Turn your position into an impromptu super fob, because when the enemy attacks, it usually comes in hard and fast from unexpected angles. And if you do find yourself being attacked, make sure to communicate this. Especially as a squad leader, there's nothing wrong with wanting to call for backup to make sure your team holds its objectives. Ideally, it's always best if 2 squads defend. The reason for this is so your defense can be proactive and react to situations accordingly. For example, if you see a helicopter land to the north of you, or an enemy logi truck drives by into some woodland, we all know that they're going to be setting up an attack hub. This means one of the defensive squads can actually rush to try and wipe that out before it's fully established. Then, when they return back to the defensive objective, the other defending squad can do the same thing to another enemy fob which has been placed to the south. Doing this is a deadly way to ruin the enemy team's day and destroy their ticket counter. But doing this always ensures that your defensive objective is covered. However, this actually leads me to my next point, and this is where you need to be aware of when your team has gone full defensive. This is all fine and well having 3 to 5 squads stay on defense. Some maps and factions need that overwhelming support to stay strong and hold firm, but eventually you will start to get overwhelmed and start to falter as they come in from all angles. So a great way to counter this is to exploit my first point that I made in this video. Do you remember what that is? Exactly. They have no one defending. They got bored and wandered off. Simply load up in a logi with at least 3 of you and enough supplies for a hab, and beeline straight for their defensive point and get set up on a flank that they wouldn't expect, and then send it straight into the objective. Chances are, if the enemy hasn't seen this video, you will get that capture point unopposed, and the minute you neutralize that point, the enemy's attack comes to a halt. If they have watched this video, then expect some resistance, but that in itself is a good thing, because they will be getting on the radio to their other squad leads saying that they need support, and this pulls power and pressure away from their attack to come to deal with you, helping your defense stay strong. It's all a balancing act, but you need to keep looking at your map to see what's going on. If you're about to get set up on the attack, but you see that your defense is neutralized and it's still flashing red, then you're probably better off redirecting to your previous objective and get ready and start defending there. Otherwise, your team is at risk of being rolled heavily. Now, a very important thing here, when your team has captured the next cap point, if you've capped it personally, you're now the defensive squad. You need to get your habs and rallies set up and get full control of that objective. Those of you who are on defense, you are now the designated attacking squads. Either dig down your radios to save 20 tickets, or at bare minimum, dig down your ATGM launchers. You do not want that falling into the hands of the enemy team, because they will use it and they will slap your friendly armor from behind. And again, people will get really annoyed. This tactic is called leapfrogging, and teams that don't do this very often lose, because what they do is as soon as they cap an objective, they just start walking to the next one like a bunch of lemmings, even if it's the other side of the map, thus leaving your new defensive objective wide open. Be vigilant and maintain map awareness. Your map is a powerful tool even as a blueberry. Take a fire team lead and mark things that you see, especially if it's enemy armor. As mechanized infantry in squad, it is incredibly strong, so marking vehicles helps your team on the whole, especially the armor players or those who specialize in anti-armor. To mark as a fire team leader, you simply open up your map, right-click on the location that you saw the vehicle in, and then select from these red options here what you think it was. There's no real hurt in marking the vehicles slightly wrong, unless it's a tank. Then you definitely have to mark that as a tank. Look, there's nothing worse than getting taken out by a tank from behind that's basically driven past two squads of Stevie Wonders. Someone has bound to have seen that, but they're all just playing blind. Moving on, another huge mistake I keep seeing that costs your team tickets is radios and hab placement. And furthermore, leaving logistics trucks next to the damn radio. When you're placing your radio, you need to think a little bit about where to put it. The biggest mistake I see is people placing it directly in the path of two objectives. Basically, when the enemy Redberries start walking from their defense to your defense, they literally walk in a straight line. And if your radio and hab is on that direct path, they are going to walk straight to it. Same goes for your hab. You want to place these in places where you least expect people to go. Furthermore, as mentioned earlier, leaving your logistics truck by the radio is a huge no-no. Any semi-experienced player that sees a logi truck is going to come over and take a look, because 80% of the time, they are left where the radio got placed. Another one that gives your hab away is people who place mortars directly on the hab. Not only does it hoover up the infantry supplies, but you now have one or two tubes that is giving any flanking enemy infantry a positive direction to follow, because those mortars can be heard from a very long way away. If you want to build mortars, that's fine, but do it as far from the radio and hab as possible, because you are and will get hunted. And heli pilots, I'm looking at you for this one. Just because you see a radio with low supplies on, or one that's just been set up, doesn't mean the squad leader running it wants it to be resupplied. Chances are this is an attack radio that they have just placed with a logi as stealthily as possible. So flying over it or hovering for what feels like an eternity in your 10-ton flying neon sign basically tells the enemy, hey, there's a radio over here. Your helicopters make so much noise, even Helen Keller could pinpoint where you're at. That hab will be found in a matter of minutes. If you want to resupply, get on the radio and ask, but chances are you'll be told to stay away. Honestly guys, all of these reasons we've just been through are why you and your team lose 9 out of 10 games. Mix in the fact of having no one backcapping, or squads not playing the active objectives, or building a super fob in the middle of nowhere some 2 kilometers away from an actual active objective, or players and squad leaders just not being able to adapt as the game goes on. Quite often I will see hordes of players that are on an objective that can no longer be capped, still lingering there 20 minutes later whilst the rest of their team are desperately scrambling trying to stop themselves from getting rolled. Again, all of this can be stopped by frequently checking the map and communicating with each other. Get a heli to come and pick you up, or just hit the tilde key and respawn and get yourself on the backline. Guys, if you manage to take anything away from this video, you are all well on your way to becoming better players and will have an impact right off the bat. If you have any tips to add, stick them in the comments down below. I know people read them and they help a lot of players. Squad is not a difficult game, and as a result, 90% of the time, their problems and their solutions are also very simple. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more squad guides, gameplay and updates. Take care, and I'll catch you on my next video or in my server. Good night.